situation on Merseyside. Alderhay Children's Hospital in Liverpool declaring a major incident after that school bus with more than 50 pupils on board overturned on the M53 motorway at Merseyside this morning. One woman taken to hospital, what were described as major trauma injuries following this accident near Junction 5, but 50 others had to be assessed at the scene with 2 air ambulances in attendance. It's reported that some of the children were trapped inside the bus. These pictures taken by those travelling past the scene a little earlier. But let's get the very latest now with our North West of England reporter Sophie Reaper, who's there at the scene. And Sophie, this is Junction 5, I gather, at Hooton on the motorway.
It is indeed. You can see behind me that the motorway does remain closed. We know that emergency services were called here this morning shortly after 8 o'clock after reports of that bus crash. Now, this is one of those stories that is so rapidly moving and it will continue to develop. But here's a little bit about what we know so far. We know that that bus, according to police, collided with a car and then hit the central reservation close to Junction 5 here on the M53. We also know that bus was carrying school pupils from Calday Grange Grammar School and West Kirby Grammar School for girls. Now, both of those schools are high schools with a sixth form, meaning the pupils will be aged around 11 to 18. We also know from the North West Ambulance Service, who have also declared a major incident. We know from them that the 50 people aboard the bus were assessed at the scene and that one female was taken to a nearby hospital having suffered major trauma-related injuries. Local hospital Alderhay Children's Hospital have put out a statement online saying, following an incident on the M53, we have called a major incident. Our emergency department is currently extremely busy and would ask parents to only bring their children to the department if it is urgent. So clearly there's been reaction from across the northwest. All emergency services have been here, as you said, 2 air ambulances also involved. And as I said before, this is one of those stories that will continue to develop as the day moves on. So we'll be bringing you all the latest on it as we get it.
Yeah, now we've got Merseyside's Police and Crime Commissioner Emily Spurrell asking people not to speculate about what's happened and what's continuing to happen. But what we do know, for instance, is that NHS staff have actually come off the picket lines elsewhere in the Wirral, indicating the sort of emergency responses had to be.
Absolutely. And this is one of those stories where speculation will be rife. People will hear Chinese whispers and it will snowball almost. And that's why Emily Spurrell is asking people not to do so, because, of course, family, parents, friends of those who have children at those schools will, of course, be concerned. So it makes sense that actually people stay away from posting online with whatever they think may have happened and instead wait for people such as the media or official outlets such as the emergency services to bring us the latest.
And tell us a little bit more about this particular area. We think this was the northbound carriageway, 8 o'clock in the morning, clearly at the height of rush hour when this happened. We assume that this is going to be a really busy stretch of motorway.
It would have been indeed. We're really quite close. You can hear cars still making their way round this ring road. We're quite close to Chester and Liverpool, somewhere in the middle, near to Birkenhead. So this road will have been in both directions, people travelling around the northwest. It's a major thoroughfare for people on the commute in the morning. So you're absolutely right. I would imagine the traffic will have been quite busy at this point in the morning on a working day. So we can only imagine exactly what would have been going on.
And a worrying time, of course, for all parents and families. What do we know about the 2 schools involved? They've been named as Calday Grange Grammar School and West Kirby Grammar School, which I think is a school for girls.
It is indeed. As I mentioned, those are both high schools in this area that also have a sixth form, which will mean it's year 7 to 11 plus the sixth form age, which is year 12 and 13, meaning the pupils will be aged 11 to 18. Of course, it's not the entirety of a school that will be on board. It will only be a select few pupils. So we're yet to find out exactly what the age range is of those pupils who were on board. But I'm sure that will be some information that we get as the day goes on.
And clearly, looking there behind you, we expect this stretch of motorway to be closed for some time yet as the rescue and recovery operation continues.
Absolutely. And police have advised people to avoid this area completely and to find other routes because, of course, with something as large as a bus, this isn't as simple as perhaps as a normal car crash. With something as large as a bus, of course, we've seen the pictures. A rescue operation will now be underway to try and move the bus itself. But, of course, there's many people involved who will now have to be potentially taken to other locations. So you're absolutely right that this will now take some time to try and clear it up.
Sophie, for the moment, thank you very much for joining us there at the scene there on the M53. Back to you, of course, as we get more. Just to share with you that the two schools, Calday Grange and West Kirby, have posted tweets to say we are aware of the situations involving one of our school buses. We're actively gathering details and assisting affected students and their families. And clearly, as the Police and Crime Commissioner is asking people not to speculate on social media, we will update you as we get more details from the emergency services.